Alrighty, welcome back and congratulations on coming to the final video in this series. There is one more email, but this is the last video. And technically, actually, the video before this one was the final for starting a conversation, and I'm just throwing this one in as a bonus, I guess, for those of you who want to continue talking after you've begun the conversation and you're ready to work on that. This acts as a kind of introduction to the next level of conversation, which is going from initiating to continuing a conversation as genuinely as possible. So this is not compulsory, this video, by any means. I mean, nothing we do is compulsory, of course, but if you just want to work on initiating and you're not ready to continue conversations yet, you can just safely ignore this video and continue with the rest of the course until you feel comfortable with attacking the issue of moving on after starting the conversation. And I absolutely think that you should not watch this video if you have not taken any of the actions yet. If you have not gone and initiated any new conversations since beginning this course, don't watch this video. You're already behind. You've got to take that action. So I'm going to give you some very basic tips on how to genuinely keep a conversation going. Ironically, this is more about not trying to keep the conversation going. It's trying that puts us in this very outcome dependent, needy mindset that makes talking so difficult in the first place. Talking is actually really easy when you don't care about the outcomes, when you don't need anything to happen. But of course, in real life, neediness keeps coming back in and back in, especially the better the conversation goes, the more neediness will come back when you think, oh, I've actually got something to lose here. So what I want to give you today is a kind of ongoing template based on the 3X model for you to keep letting go of neediness as it comes up so that you can do what comes naturally, which is just converse. First and foremost, the key principle to keeping a conversation going is you need to take your time and focus on the person that you're talking to. Most people don't do this. They rush, they try to act as quickly as possible, react as quickly as possible, avoid silences, think quickly, come up with good ideas. They push themselves and pressure themselves to move quickly, to not lose the other person. And they focus on themselves rather than the other person. They're up in their heads, trying to figure out the best thing to say, trying to figure out how the other person feels, trying to figure things out. Instead of just looking at the other person, listening to them, observing them, watching them. Conversation will come really naturally to you if you just slow the fuck down, take all the pressure off yourself to do well, and just listen and observe, both while you're talking and while the other person is talking. Now, in simple terms, how to think of the next thing to say. A genuine conversation does not have a plan or a script. Okay, this isn't some pickup artist stuff. A genuine conversation, you have no idea where it's going to go. You cannot plan more than the next thing you're going to say for it to remain genuine. If you have a strategy like, let's talk about this topic I'm good at, or let's make sure that I share these stories, or make sure I ask lots of good questions, you're already not genuine. Because that might not match how you feel in the moment when it's time to speak or time to listen. So, genuine conversation must be based on what's happening in the moment. It must constantly let go of the master plan to make this person like you and come to being here and now and truthful. Taking your time and focusing on them will help with this. Taking your time will allow the truth to occur to you after the rushed, strategic kind of thing occurs to you. And focusing on them will get you out of your head so you're actually here in the present moment. Having conversation with this person, not a fantasy person inside your mind. It's a very simple process to figuring out what to say. You notice your reaction, you share it, and then you wait for their reaction. It's a 3-step process. Notice your reaction, share it, wait for their reaction. Explore, engage, release. The 3X model. Curiosity, honesty, respect. Let's make this more practical. Noticing your reaction. After you've initiated the conversation, they will respond in some way, even if it's to ignore you. That is a response. And when they respond, you will react to that response. Something will occur inside you. You'll have an emotional reaction, thoughts will pop into your mind. A whole range of stuff will go on inside you based on what they responded with and how they behaved. Your job is simply to notice what that reaction is, and then to share it with them when you express yourself. So simply put, I go up to someone and say, "Hey, I don't think I've met you yet. My name's Dan. Hi." I reach out and shake their hand, and they look at me and go, "Hello," and they look a bit nervous, say. Now when they have that response, inside me, part of me goes like, uh-oh, they're feeling a bit nervous. And I can feel a little bit tense. That's my reaction to their reaction. Right? That's my reaction to their response. Which means the next thing to talk about is what just occurred inside me. So I might say something like, "Whoa, I noticed you seem a bit nervous about me talking to you." And then, and here's the key, I stop speaking. I don't ask a question to make it easier to keep the conversation going. I just share what occurred inside me, and I just share one thing, just one. Because now it's their turn again. We won't go into this in too much detail in this video, but it's very important to balance a relationship. You cannot overshare or undershare. You must match each other and reciprocate, at least in terms of meaning and depth, if not quantity. So this means I had one reaction to her response. I share that one reaction with her or him, and then I go silent. I've hit the ball over to them, and now it's their turn to hit it back, and I am not going to do anything more until they respond again. And guess what? Once they respond again, I'll have a reaction to it, and then I'll share. There's all kinds of reactions to notice. You can have emotional feeling as a reaction. You can have a memory pop up into your head, or an anecdote, or a story. You can have an interpretation or an assumption come into your mind where you think they mean something and you're not sure. You can have a positive, pleasurable reaction. You can feel validated or flattered or enjoy what they said. All of these things are just things to share, and there's no right or wrong. There's no response that's better than any other. This is the key to a genuine conversation. A manipulative conversation, I'll look through my head for the best response that will make them like me the most, and then I'll give them that. In a genuine conversation, I simply notice the most obvious response, reaction. So I might have some great things I could talk about that would make them like me, but my anxiety about what they just did is the most obvious thing going on inside my head. And that's the thing to talk about. Even though I've got a great story in my head that makes me look really attractive, the fact that they frowned and looked at me weird made me a bit anxious. And that anxiety is really front of mind. That story about me being awesome is nothing right now compared to that story, and that's why strategy has to be let go of. You don't know what you're going to say next, but it will come to you when the time comes. You don't need to worry about it or plan it. It will occur to you naturally as a reaction to their response, and all you have to do is focus on them and take your time, and you'll notice that reaction. Then you simply put it into words. You can even put confusion into words. I've got a whole video about that. You can say, "I don't know how to respond right now." Or it's like, "Wow, my mind's just racing. I can't think of a thing to say." That's a response. And then you go silent and you let them have their turn. You can talk to anyone forever following this process. Notice your reaction, share it, let them respond. Notice the most obvious thing that comes into your mind after they've responded. Put that into words, then go silent and wait for them to have a reaction to it. That is the secret to a deep and powerful connection. The more honest you are with that process, the more you speak about the most obvious thing, the deeper the connection. It's as simple as that. If you want to put this into action, very simple. Go and initiate a conversation with a stranger today and keep talking until they leave. Don't end the conversation. Let them end it. Even if you have to stay silent in a panic and stand there looking like an idiot, do not leave until they do. And watch how long a conversation could go for if you didn't back out. That brings us to the end of this course. Check out the the following video where you fill in the survey and complete the course and get your certificate. And I'll see you guys next time. Cheers.